Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to After Class Talk 2021 on SDG series, episode 3, Gender Equality in Education. The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, also known as the Global Goals, were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity in 2030. There are 17 global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. And in this episode, we are going to have a sharing session on the goals number 5 of SDGs, which is gender equality, or more specifically on gender equality in education. My name is Lia Marlia, and I am the moderator for today. Thank you for joining us today, and I would like to welcome our distinguished guests. First of all, we have our speaker today, Professor Aquarini Priyatna, MA, MHUM, PhD. Good afternoon, Ibu.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for sparing your time for us. Also, we have Director of Strategic Partnership and International Office, Ibu Lia Yuldinawati, STMM. She might not hear. Is he here now? Oh, yes.
Yes.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Leah, and all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, Ibu. Also, we have the Manager of International Office in Telkom University, Ibu Indah Fajarwati.
Hello, good
Ibu,
afternoon.
good
Hello.
afternoon. And Assistant Manager of International Services, Miss Mefti Septiani.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. And also all international students and local students or students from Indonesia or from Telkom University and also from other universities. Hello, thank you, welcome. So to know that you are here, please wave your virtual hand using the wave icon, please. Can you do it? Okay. Okay, great to see all the yellow hand. Thank you very much. So I will read the rules for this event first before we start the after class talk, this episode. So yes, now these are the rules. So all participants should turn on the camera during the event. We will really appreciate it if you do that. All participants should turn off the microphone during the speaker's presentation and may turn on the microphone during open discussion session. During the open discussion, all participants can ask questions to the guest speakers or to other participants. For those who want to ask questions directly to guest speaker or to other participants, kindly use thumbs up icon on the reactions feature. And rules number 5, the participants can drop the question on the chat feature as well. And rules number 6, there will be a door prize during this event. Okay. So the door prize will be given to the participant who is the winner of the game and who give the best question to the speaker. So for the warming up, let's moving on to the quizzes games. Then and there will be prizes for the winner. I mentioned it again. So please open the website quizzes.com/join. It's QUIZIZZ.com. Yes, that's the one. You can see in the monitor the code that you have to input so you can join this quiz. You will have 10 questions each and you can answer it directly without waiting for our direction, my direction. Just answer it as fast as you can, of course, with the right question, and then you can be the winner of these games. Okay, so is anybody join? We still waiting for participants to join. Yes, we have Aviana. Thank you for joining us, Aviana. It's very easy. You just have to go to the website and then input the code. So you can join this particular game. Okay, we have 5 participants now. I think we can still have more because there are more than 50% in this Zoom meeting. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, we have 11 participants. Okay, Flo is joining us. Also, we have Cecilia Soares. We have Vanaja, Dea. We have Eka, Ficha. Okay. The prize are is Imani for Habib. Thank you for joining us. Okay. I think we're waiting for 20 or 25 participants so we can start. Okay. Okay, so we're still waiting for, okay, we have 20 now. Good. Good, Diana. Welcome, Emiliano and Putri, also Bento Diaz. Okay, we're still waiting for the participant to reach 25 participants. 4 more, and then we can start the game. Okay, great. It's 23 now. Thank you, Hani and Li Zuabing. Also Ri. 2 more person, then we can go. Okay, it's 25 now. Let's start the game. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the question is, it's all about SDGs, especially about the topic of today, gender equality in education. Okay, this is the leaderboard. I see Afiana already answered. Okay, she is leading now. It's only 10 questions and I think it's very easy. Oh, Aisha just dethroned Aviana. Habib also on fire. Okay, this is tied. Oh, great. Who is on the top now? Oh, Aviana is going back. Oh, Manaja is coming. Okay. So, our number 1 rank already answered 5 questions, I guess. Okay. Halfway there. Halfway there. Okay. Next slide. Okay, Aisha almost there. Maybe you just have to answer, I don't know, 2 or 3 questions. Hello, good afternoon for participants who just joined this Zoom meeting. It's okay. The discussion is not started yet. It hasn't started yet because we are still in the game session. But you missed the game though. Oh, Aisa is still number 1. And Laila is coming. Oh, Aisa is finished answering all the questions. Hopefully all the participants finish complete their game. Okay, Hani, Laila, Manaja, Aviana, Diana, Cecilia, they all finished, completed the game. Just a few participants to complete it. Okay, Sri is also complete the game. Is everybody finished? Okay, let's wait for the announcement. Oh, we still have some participants who still answering the question. Can we show the winner now? Okay, I think we can just end the game, so we can see the winner. Okay, congratulations. In the third place, we have Hani, Safira, and then at the second place is Laila, and the winner is Aisha Diva. Is that correct? Okay, congratulations, Aisha Diva. Good game. So you will get 100,000 rupiahs in the form of e-money, and the committee will contact you for the details. All right. Finally, we've come to the point of this event. The core of the event is the talk. I would like to introduce our speaker first. I have her brief CV. So we are having our Professor Aquarini Priyatna, MA MHum, PhD. Today, she is a professor in literature and gender studies, as well as the Dean of Faculty of Cultural Science, Universitas Padjadjaran. Professor Aquarini holds a doctorate in gender studies from Monash University, Australia. She obtained her MA in feminist cultural theory and practices from Lancaster University, United Kingdom, and awarded MHum in gender studies from Universitas Indonesia. She also receives many grants and awards. Some of them are scholarship from for MA from British Chevening Awards, scholarship for PhD from Australia Development Scholarship, and her recent research grants from Sumitomo Foundation. Besides, she also published several books related to gender studies. One of them is entitled Feminist Thought, a More Comprehensive Introduction in 2003. Please welcome Professor Aquarini Priyatna, MA MHum, PhD.
Thank you for the introduction, Ibu Lia, and I would like to say thank you also to Telkom University, Ibu Mafti, Ibu Indah for inviting me, for having me here and have a chat. Probably this is not a report on my research. I think this is just a chat. You say this is the talk. So I have been assigned to talk about gender and education, and again, as I was just imparting, I would be commenting on gender and education, not as a comprehensive research, but more about issues that are concerning. Also, I did have a research that has been published, so I would also integrate that into my presentation. So I will share the screen. Can you see it?
Yes, Prof, we can see it.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't, is it big enough? Can you see it? Because I'm not going to put in a slideshow, but can you see it?
I think, yeah.
Is it big enough? Okay, I make it smaller. Okay. So gender and education, a reflection. I would put the title a reflection because I would chat more about this and within the topic. And let me just start by talking about the progress first. Usually we talk about problems first and it makes us busy. Let's talk about the progress first. Let's talk about what has happened. So the progress is that is clear is gender parity index for school enrollment rates, ratio of girls to boys 7 to 12 years old has increased from 1970 0.89. That means around 9 girls to 10 boys. Now in 2019 is 10 boys, 10 girls to 10 boys. That means it's equal. That's the number, the statistics. UNICEF says that 92.8 girls compared to 92.7% boys enrolled in primary school. So again, this is a good sign. However, as you see that if we talk about gender parity index, there is the difference might be small, but it is still concerning because only 62.4% girls and 60.9 boys enrolled in secondary school. This is something concerning. In terms of gender parity, this is we are I mean girls are doing better, but the number is still very small. Anyway, and then we see expected years of schooling. UNICEF says that female are expected to spend years of schooling 13 years, 37, while male 13.5. So not so much different there. However, the mean years of the real actual schooling is female is 7.8 years and male is 8.6. So what we see here is that the younger the group, girls and boys tend to be, they would get the basic education basically. But the older the girls, usually they will have more and more complications in their schooling experience. And so, yeah, this is the good news. Again, we have better statistic here because I did research in 2013, and at that time, there was still some concerns, which I realized this year it has been diminished. But anyway, compared in 2010, you see this is a number. So what we see here, I just focus on the primary school here. 21.96% of boys got the primary school education, and while girls get 23. This is also better. But what we see here is this when I did the research here, we see that more percentage of men get tertiary education, higher education compared to women. What we see here in 2020, we see that more women population and compared to the population get higher education, get university education. This is a nice statistic because we get more women get educated, but actually men also get educated in a, but the rise that we have from 10 to 13%, that's quite nice. It takes 10 years, but it is coming. So it is better statistic, but again, I have this statistic. I really want to see what happened since the last time I did the research. So since 1993, the net participation rate, that means the enrollment, the girls and boys that are enrolled in education, were still unequal. However, we have come now. Girls have come to par, even exceeded that of boys in all levels. In all levels, if you see, I don't see the number, but I can give you the link later. But if we see this is the ratio of girls to boys, you see more. This is like I'll just point out because you might not be able to read it. 100% in 2004 primary school, in 2020, and 100% something in for secondary school, and also for the secondary school of SMA, is 1.6. Unfortunately, they don't have the number for higher education. This is something that I'm very interested in, actually. So what the number means, what? The number means 100.20. When I say 99.557 means 99.57 girls compared to 100 boys. Now what we see here, this is 105.01. That means 105 girls compared to 100 boys. So more girls get education, even in SMA, but they don't have the number for higher education. What I'm saying is that girls are catching up now. Girls get enrolled in education and they actually finish it in higher education. Unfortunately, there is an issue here with it is in the other table, but I can show you that. Except in the secondary level SMR, girls fell behind. There is an issue there. If SD, I will just go refer to SD, SMP, SMA, which is easier, yeah. SD, SMP, girls completed their study and they are in par with the boys. But in SMA, they fall behind. So there is an issue with that age then. The SMA, what is happening in SMA? And if you also see what's happening in college education and university education, you will also see problems. Like this problem, for example, only according to DICTI, which I think still is the data that I can rely on, only 7% women graduating from bachelor degree pursue their master's degree. And only 3% of those obtaining master's degree go to get their doctoral degree. So the issue is not in SD, is not in SMP, but it's in SMA and higher education. Question, this bears us question. What happens in SMA? What happens in university? Why is it that the girls are excited, are enrolled in those levels of education, but they don't complete the study? So what is the issue then? The issue may be not the enthusiasm of the girls. The issue is what is happening at school. What is happening in our university? And I can give you a lot of anecdotes and stories about how girls get more challenges and more complex and complicated situation compared to boys. So these are the thing that bothers me, because I think when you do research, what bothers you is a good impetus, it's a good drive when you're angry. I always believe that when you're angry, you're disturbed, you want to know more. So according to Susanna's, followed by World Bank, the main reason for dropping out from school, male and female, insufficient funds, male 33%, female 30%. But what we see here, look at take marriage. See the point? That's quite significant. Marriage, 12% of women compared to just 0.37 in men. What else? What else that is taking care of the household? Female, 3.65 compared to just 0.37. This is gender issues. Obviously, marriage is actually gender issues, and we see taking care of the household. This one is more or less the same. This one, again, this will also say shame of poor economic condition. Males seem to be more disturbed by that. But other than that, I would say these are something that we can count, try to consider what is happening. Marriage and taking care of the household. So, and more than that, according to Borden project, out of 10 students dropping out, 7 are girls. So they get enrolled, they are excited about going to school, but somewhere in the middle, they drop out. Some of the reasons have been indicated by this marriage, more affected to girls. Girls are more affected by marriage, and girls are more affected by taking care of the household. And this is gender issue. This is something that we need to continue elaborating. And I have stories about that too, because this is something, this is the story. I did research on women doing higher degree education, asking my students, 700 of them, to write narratives because I am into narratives. I asked them to write stories about their experience or their mother's experience or their sister's experience, their friend's experience, female, I mean, the girls, the female only. And we come up with, I mean, I had a lot of data about what happened, what is happening, why do girls tend to drop out more than boys. So the issue of some, I mean, a lot actually, students talk about how they get different treatment in their household. One, for example, they their mother expects them to help the mother clean up the house, not the boy, not the brothers, just the daughters. And so they say, I have to use my time and energy on taking care of the house while my brother can just focus on his study. This is something. And of course, there are also stories about the student write about their mothers who had to get married very young, so they had to drop out from, they have to cut their dreams short, and stories from my students who said that she was the only and the first female or girl in her village that actually pursued university education. And she said, every day I had to walk to go to Jatinangor, passing by the rice field and and passing all other villagers, and they showed me the look of like, why would you go to school, why would you go to the university? These different challenges have been identified, but some structural, more academic challenges have also been identified. For example, why women don't get enough opportunity to expand, to develop their talents, or even to sharpen their leadership skills. For example, is one of the students said that I couldn't join any activities because the toilet was closed at 4 p.m. So girls' toilet was closed at 4 p.m. What does it mean? It means girls cannot stay at campus after 4 p.m. because they would need to go to the toilet. So small things like toilets can affect how girls can benefit from their education, or can get this advantage of their education, because obviously they have the right to having this activities after 4 p.m. And this is something, there are a lot of anecdotes about that, and I can elaborate that further. And so what do we do now? So the government has started by putting like arus utamaan gender in education, and there are strategic objectives for that. Ensure equal access to education. Yes, we do have that by law. So girls and boys, they all can get access to education. Okay, we have done that. Another thing, the strategic objective is we need women and girls to get educated because we need to alleviate illiteracy among women. this is the strategic objectives, because girls will become mothers and they will become the pillars, they will become the educators. So it is important for the whole country to have women who are literate, who can read. And when I say read, it's not just ABCs, reading as a more intellectual activity. So this is not training, this is training, I'm sorry. And we need to increase women's access to various training, science, technology, and further education. There is an issue there because first, science and technology have been gendered as masculine. So more men in technology, information system information, all this masculine and engineering, more men there than women, in a way that science and technology have been dubbed as masculine, as naturally masculine. So girls are discouraged from going to that area, just like men are discouraged from going to humanities field. For example, why would men go to sastra Perancis? Or why would men go to sastra Jepang, for example? That question implies there is this still disparity about access to education, and it might not be structural, but I think it is more social cultural, and it is something that takes more work to do, because we need to change people's mind, we need to change people's perspective. So okay, so and then and further education also, because then as I said, women don't, like we have seen that only 7% out of women who get bachelor degree education want to pursue master's degree education. This is something like, why wouldn't girls want to pursue their further education? And we need to also develop indiscriminative education and training. This is something important. Who actually chooses who is going to what training? So this is not just about women not wanting to go, but because in some areas, some contexts, there are people who actually choose who can go to what, So we need to develop indiscriminative education and training. This is something that, for example, Australian Development Scholarship has provided. There is some people, they say we don't need affirmative action, but we do need it. For example, how can we, if I was living, because there are also data that show that education is not just about men and women. There are social cultural implications also involved. So for example, if I happen to live in these remote areas with no internet, I live with my single mom, for example, I don't have the means. How can I compete with somebody who lives in Kemang, for example? How can I? Because obviously it's not because, just because I'm poor doesn't mean I am ignorant. I just don't get the access to what can make me explore the potentialities. I was watching Netflix just a few days ago, and it talks about the Daughters of Destiny. This is about how there is this foundation, and Shanti Bafan. They pick up little girls from remote areas, and they put them in the residential school, and they kind of groom them to become educated and to actually explore potentiality, because it's because they have potentiality, but because they are poor, they cannot access that. So we cannot just say we have a workshop in Kemang, without giving the means for those who are in the remote area in Sumba to be able to attend that too, for example. Yeah. So and scholarships needs to be thought, carefully as well. So the ADS, I was talking about ADS, they had this allocation. So 60% is for girls, and 60%, the third, yes, I think it's 60% for girls, and the third, or I don't know, I forgot the percentage, but maybe somebody who knows can. I forgot to take to check the data, but there are allocation for those in remote areas as well from Indonesia Timur, because obviously Indonesia bagian barat has developed more than Indonesia Timur. So obviously it's not able to apple. You cannot ask them to, compete. So this is something. So access to education and training needs to be indiscriminative. And then allocate adequate resources to monitor education reform, because obviously we want to reform, but we don't have the resources uh, if we cannot, if you do not allocate the resources to monitor it, then what happens is what is deemed as natural, because girls are like that, boys are like that, that's deemed natural, which is actually cultural, will return. All this hard work will just diminish. So, and then we need to promote lifelong education and training for women. Um, the issue of giving education. I really like the idea of Posyandu, for example. I think Posyandu can develop more. This is lifelong education and training. Maybe when I was a little girl, my mother went to Posyandu for, for vaccination for me. But now Posyandu, they can learn how to make, how to access internet, for example, how to have their children make video for school assignment and everything. So it's just lifelong training. So I have discussed about the numbers, which is the number is getting better a little bit, and I have talked about the strategic thing. Now we talk about the challenges. As I said, school participation affected negatively in different regions. For example, just as I said, people who live, boys and girls who live in Kemang will not experience the same thing as people living in Zoom. Oh, because I am orang Banten, for example. In the remote areas in Pandeglang, for example, to go to school, they have to walk and cross the river. So school participation is not only about gender, but also about different regions. And more than just about regions, it's also about socioeconomic and geographical disparities. The difference in socioeconomic status, different of geographical status, may affect more significantly on education. That means if they are poor, if families are poor, more likely they will find constraints in getting their children to school, rather than just because they are girls or boys. And then the question of what happened in SMA, child marriage, girls affected significantly. This is maybe even SMP age girls. So child marriages is also a problem because girls affected significantly. And another thing is that the other challenge is that bullying at school vary between boys and girls. If you can remember the previous slide that I have shown, boys get more disturbed about being ashamed of their poor economic status. Girls don't seem to be, the number says, girls are not as much disturbed by that. Girls can say, yeah, I'm poor and I still want to go to school. But according to such data, boys are more disturbed by that. And bullying at school, so while girls can be confident enough while they are poor to go to school, they still have the potential of being objectified in bullying. And the bullying against girls is different. And it is most likely sexual. It is most likely physically harmful. So that's also something that we need to really count on when we talk about the challenges. So, and after that, what? At the national level, girls perform better than boys. You know, girls seem to be better than boys. Girls seem to be smarter than boys. But once they graduate, they are valued less in workplace. They get they get smaller income compared to men in the same position. So the investment is really big for girls. You know, the emotional, the psychological, the cultural, all the fights that they have to put on to be able to obtain study. And then after that, they are valued less. This is something that we need to really think about. So some identify, I would say we need to identify some concerning issues then. What to these are the challenges, and these are some concerning issues that are happening, but most in many cases they are not recognized fully by the practitioners, the education practitioner, the teachers, the staff, you know, at school. Inadequate and there should be typical gender bias teaching materials. We know all that, like ibu pergi ke pasar, bapak membaca koran. That happened years ago. You think it has disappeared? No, it has not. In different situation, it is still there. You know, or my son used to point out about one of the textbook he had is that the man sit by himself, the wife sit surrounded by the children. So she was having one child on her lap and the other child by her side, and she was touching the son, and the father is far, you know, from the wife. And then my son asked, why does he sit so far away from the mother? You know, why? This shows the position of the husband as aloof, you know, as different, as spaced, you know, because the mother is then portrayed to be close to the children, and that's the role that she has to play. This is something. Inadequate facilities, particularly regarding learners with special needs. I think our university, I don't know about tell you, but I know my university has not really tackled that thoroughly. Just a little example is that if you happen to be pregnant and your class nowadays is all Zoom thing, but when we come to school again, then you know when you're pregnant and we and the students in university are in the reproductive age, so they cannot go upstairs to the third floor when they are pregnant, for example, because there is no lift. So just because there is no lift, then girls or women who are pregnant get automatically dismissed from the access to education. So learners with special needs, and it could be related to age, it could be related to other specific needs. I remember I couldn't teach because I was pregnant. I couldn't even at the time, the salary had to be, I had to get my salary to the third floor, to the second floor. I couldn't even climb the stairs because of that, and I couldn't. This is also something concerning. Then gender bias curriculum academic practices. How many, if you look at your curriculum, for example, how many materials get included in the curriculum that actually tackle these issues, for example? So my friend who is in the political sciences said she had to fight about gender in political science because many professors and seniors think, why gender? Isn't politics is politics? But politics is not just politics, you know, it doesn't affect women and men in the same way. So this is also important. So has gender been included in the curriculum? Has it been included, integrated in the materials? Do we talk about that? And then there is gender bias recruitment of teaching staff and university or school staff in general and leadership. For example, I remember one time there was this open recruitment, and one of the seniors said, let us not recruit girls because they can be, they can be very limited. They cannot work as hard as the men. Turn out girls are hardworking people, but that idea is that women, because they will get pregnant, because they will get married, because they will get children, they will be distracted. True. Yeah, but they can also contribute in a way that, and by the way, not all men are useful, right? Some workers, some male lecturers, for example, can be very, very lazy and problematic. So that idea is, okay, they don't get pregnant, but they play around, for example, like, yeah, this is an issue. And if you happen to know, that is this called Athena Swan. This is an accreditation system that actually focus on gender equality in university. It talks about, for example, in math. In math, usually there are more men than women. So, but they will have to make it clear that they will only recruit women for the position because there have been more men than women. So if they want to recruit, they have to recruit women, and they will just say only women. We will only recruit women. But because of this, can you imagine if we don't have the role models, for example, scientists, female scientists, what would we say to our daughters? You cannot be scientists. There are no scientists before. If you have a daughter who likes math and physics, for example, how would you want to do that? No boys and no girls do that, for example. So we need to have this kind of affirmative action using Athena Swan, for example, so that the recruitment will actually consider the ratio of male and female lecturers, for example, and leadership as well. Dikti was very proud. 8th of March, International Women's Day. In the Instagram, they posted 9 female rectors across Indonesia. Very proud, but only 9. How many universities do we have in Indonesia? So, but anyway, UNPAD was established in 1957, and this is the first time we had our female rector. I think it's the same with ITB. Okay, we're walking very slowly, but we're getting there. Why do we need more women in leadership? Because many things that men leaders don't see, women leaders can see. Is it easy? No, it's not. Because I'm also the dean, and in UNPAD there are 6 female deans out of 17, which is also okay. Almost half of the deans in UNPAD are female. Is it easy to be just there? It's not easy, because people would just say, why would we pick up female deans? It's not appropriate, it's not socially acceptable, it's not religiously acceptable. Things like that. And women are emotional, they don't think straight, they are not logical. All these ideas were swirling around. But the leadership of female leadership is important, because they provide role models, they provide different perspectives, things that have not been considered by male. I mean, I'm not saying that male deans cannot think the way female deans, but this is also the challenge. I remember Murektor told me, she encouraged me to be more bold in my approach. Yeah, she wanted me to be more tegas, and she said, don't worry, we have nothing to lose, she said. I'm going to use bahasa Indonesia. Perempuan itu susah. Bener disalahin, salah apalagi. So we have nothing to lose. If they are going to blame us for anything, just go with whatever we plan because they are going to blame us anyway. But we have to move forward. And Ibu Rector is very soft-spoken, was very bold, and I just got inspired by that. Yeah. So I think we just need to have more leaders. And basically, if the whole faculty leaders are considered, 20 faculty leaders, I mean the dean and the vice dean is 20 girls, 20 female, 20 women, compared to 37. So yeah, almost half, which is also a good number, because I know my friend who is not in this in my university get really jealous. Oh, this is so good. The number is so good. Okay. Another thing is lack of resources for girls and women's education. Lack of resources can be money, can be place, can be time. The resources, sometimes I always say the time is the most expensive resources, because like I said, the girl cannot focus on study because the mother keep telling her to mop the floor and to cook and to do it. So we don't have enough resources. This is some concerning issues. Of course, you can also raise issue. I mean, everybody can get disturbed by different issues, and these are just the thing that as I reflect, these are not comprehensive. This is not all. This is an example of gender bias articulation in public spaces and within academic context, which is really annoying. Just to be able to, there was a lot of noise about this before, and so I'm just telling you again. This is KBBI, okay? And this is the dictionary we are referring to, and then it says perempuan, maksudnya menyamai dapat maksudnya istri atau bini, betina. Laki-laki, nananat, mempunyai keberanian, pemberani. Like, why? Why is that? Does it make sense to me? Mempunyai keberanian. Don't you think girls are brave too? You know, why pemberani? This is very, very ignorant. Whoever is composing this dictionary, they are really, really ignorant. And obviously, it has to be done by academics. So we are talking about a very ignorant academic who actually wrote orang yang mempunyai kebenaran. Oh my God. I don't know what it's this. So I'm going to read ourselves now. So after all that thing, I would agree with Susan Blackburn, who said that gender biases embedded in the education system in Indonesia reflect the conservative values endemic among Indonesian people. Like to say, this is something you are familiar, yeah. No matter how high your education is, you will end up in the kitchen. Yeah. If you are highly educated, men will not want to marry you, or you will scare men away. You know, like atau bahasa Sunda, this is Sundanese, awe mah taracai kabatawi. That means girls are not supposed to travel from one place to another to obtain education, to get knowledge and wisdom. Awe mah dulang tinande, which means like women are supposedly dependent on the husband, on men actually. So this is embedded. This is what Susan Blackburn said. This is endemic among us. Even as in one of the narrative that my student wrote, and she lives in the center of Jakarta, who actually said to their daughter, don't study in Bandung because it's far away from Jakarta. Far away from me. What happened? What would you do if something happens to you? All those things. So it doesn't only apply to those in working class or lower class. It also happens, or the people in remote areas. It also happens middle class in central Jakarta. So higher education. If I'm talking too much, you have to cut me out, Ibu Lia. Higher education academic expose women to a more complex and complicated situation compared to that faced by their male counterparts. For example, if you are male and you want to go to for doctoral degree, would you elaborate why you have to go to doctoral degree? Would you ask for permission, and would you carefully craft your words so that you will not intimidate your wife? You wouldn't. But if you are a wife and you want to study postgraduate degree, you will have to craft words, not only to your husband, but to your mother-in-law as well. Yeah, I remember one of my research subjects talk about, I'm not worried about my husband, he knows. I'm worried about my mother-in-law. So she needs to craft words to talk to her mother-in-law. This is more complicated than men. So just for us to know, there were only 25,000 people with doctoral degree in 2000. I think it's 3%, yeah. So only 250, this is in 2000, yeah. 25,000 out of 205 millions, and out of 25,000, only 15% women. So of course somebody will look at you and like, are you crazy? Why would you want to go to have doctoral degree? Yeah, because only 15% out of 25,000 out of 205 million people actually want to have doctoral degree. So what I'm saying is that gender ideologies embedded in local cultures, there is a need to look into how this has shaped the way women education is perceived. Religion, particularly Islam, in my article. If you are interested in that article, you can also ask from me, being part and parcel of it. Like a good Muslim woman will be the one staying at home. Some ustad just said somewhere in social media, and it was so annoying. Yeah, because if that's the truth, if Islam really wants Muslim women to stay at home, God wouldn't choose Khadijah to be Nabi Muhammad's wife, yeah, because she's not that kind of woman. So rethinking the normative. This is something this is very important. I was very glad to have found this, because Atin Anwar, because many a time women are hindered from going to pursue higher education because of religious reasons. But Atin Anwar talk about it. Men's responsibility for financial sustenance, double inheritance, and divorce are not legalized in order to oppress women's biological nature and their laws, but to protect their rights, so that women as daughters, wives, and mothers can advance their self-fulfillment in both the private and public spheres. So what I'm saying is that, what she was saying is that, yes, men in Islam get advantages, but that advantages have to be used to make sure that the wife, the daughter, and the mother can advance their self-fulfillment. So if you want to go to higher degree education, and then it is the responsibility of the husband to grant it, because it is his responsibility to make sure you can explore and advance. So it's not permission from him, it's actually his obligation. This is something like really, really enlightening for me, because this is not a permission, this is actually his responsibility. So what I'm saying is that, so then husband and wife might need to be flexible, adjust, adapt, and adopt different challenges and priorities in the family. It doesn't mean that women need to have whatever they want every time. But there are priorities. For example, if your husband is now taking his doctoral degree, then perhaps it is the duty of the wife to take care of him. But then when you take that doctoral degree, it is his responsibility to make sure that the priority is now in the wife. So this is not about who has to do what, instead who can do what, what is right is about what is right relies on what is our position. Okay. So now reevaluating cultures and norms, lesson learned from mothers doing graduate education, which is a research that I did. This is just two more slides, so 3 more slides. So the issues that I have identified, mothers doing actually the research said mothers doing PhD, because I'm really interested in how mothers navigate that. So the issues happen to be not academic. Why women couldn't really pursue, because the issue are not really academic. They need to be listened to, because doing graduate degree can be very lonely, and a lot of things become priorities, so there is no priority. They need somebody to listen to them, and we need all the women talk about there is a need for support system. The lack of support system may affect them negatively. They could get depressed. They could get a lot of stress out. They could get ill just because they don't have support system. There is also resistance to plan for pursuing higher degree education. This is something that has been identified by a lot of women. Say, the mother-in-law say, "Why would you want to take the doctoral degree? Don't you have master's degree? Don't you think it's enough? You know, why would you want to do it?" Especially if the husband is not educated. So then the issue of the child care, you know, who's going to take care of the child while the wife is pursuing her education. And then this issue of time management. This I want to underline: guilty feeling. We don't have to be guilty. We don't have to feel guilty, but we all feel guilty. Like, actually, when women pursue their education, it is an investment for the whole family, but still abandoning to some extent the children would, or not performing well as a wife, you know, not preparing the food all the time for the husband, because some husband can be very demanding. I had a friend when we were doing postgraduate degree together, and she had to cook every day because her husband wants fresh food all the time. And see, he is Padangese. Can you imagine masak rendang every day? Doesn't make sense, yeah. And she is made to feel guilty for not cooking rendang every day. Okay, so let's just also say why it is important to make sure all men and women. I'm not saying this is just the project of men. This is the project of all men and women, brothers, fathers, husbands. We are all in this thing together. Like Michael Kimmel said, gender equality makes everybody happy, and the happiest one would be the husband, will be the father. So according to Ban Ki-moon, literate women are more likely to send their children, especially their girls, to school. By acquiring literacy, women become more economically self-reliant and more actively engaged in their country's social, political, and cultural life. All evidence show that the investment, time, money, space, all those things in literacy for women yield high development dividend. So more women get education, the more positive the country will be. And at personal level, this is also important. It's there is a subject that I have. They talk about the difficulties, or like I have pages and pages of their curhat. But at the end, when they say, I'm writing my dissertation now and my GPA is still the highest, even compared to my American fellow students who were studying in NYU. I'm one of the who studied in American university and colleges. Now, look at the tone, very confident. This is something that we also need to learn, especially from athletes. I realize we all need to learn from female athletes, because they can actually say, why did you win the game? Because I work really hard for that. They don't say, oh, it's just a coincidence. No, they say, I work really hard for that. I trained 5 hours a day. It was difficult, but I'm happy. I'm proud that I managed to overcome the difficulties. That's one. The confidence is the highlight here. By continuing my education, I learned more and set the example of women who can get higher education for my daughter. When I graduated, she said, Mama, I want to graduate. That should be my cum laude. The daughter is only 4 years old at that time. This one also talk about how going to school, pursuing doctoral degree is to provide role models for the daughters and the children, especially the daughters, because they were the ones who need it more. So I think that should be all from me. Thank you very much for listening. I stop share now.
Wow, it's very, very interesting talk, Prof. Aquarini. There's a lot of insight that I can even mention now. Because most of your talk, the details that you discuss, that you presented is very daily. It is in our daily life, in our everyday life. We feel it, and we can find it in everyday life. And sometimes we just don't know that, oh yeah, that is wrong. we just don't know that it's something wrong because we are so uh, terbiasa.
Yeah, we get
Yeah.
used to it and
Yeah.
it becomes natural, though
Yeah,
it is
natural.
actually cultural. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And we have many questions here in the chat box. Oh, I'm so glad that we have the same feeling about this talk with the participants. So I will read the question from the chat box first. But if there is someone or participant who want to ask directly to Professor Aquarini, Professor Priyatna, you can raise your hand, and then we will call your name. Okay. Okay, so first question is from Aviana. Hello, Dr. Priyatna. An example, if a female foreign student have to repeat two subjects because she is from a different culture from here and she receives mistreatment, is it normal? I think it's the reason why women have to be stronger when it comes to cultural differences in gender. Additionally, if the female expresses her opinion on the subject, yet maybe the lecturers doesn't like it because she is a female. Yeah, so that's the question from Aviana.
Do you
Will
want
you
me to
answer it?
answer now? Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
please.
It is mistreatment. Of course, it is mistreatment. The thing is, if there are two different culture, it needs to be communicated. Because um, in Sudan, I'm Sudanese. I would say to be easy, just say I'm Sudanese. There are different ways of talking, expressing to the elders, and sometimes it can be seen as impolite if you express in a different way. You don't mean to be impolite, but it can come across as impolite. So what I would do, this is also, I think, Afiana, this is also a room for you to study, to learn. Uh, how do we talk about things in a certain way? But this, what if you are considered fail for that, then you should just ask. Maybe we need to learn how to say it. But it's true that it's not easy for male lecturers to come uh, to to accept women who are highly opinionated and express herself very well, maybe because they're annoyed because they are not as smart as you. So just this is something you need to also take into account. But this is mistreatment, and you should ask for help.
Okay, so that's the answer from our speaker Aviana. And next question is from Santi Febrianti. Hello, Professor Aquarini. I have question. How can women show themselves in public that a woman can do everything the same as a man? For example, in a work area, but sometimes these women are blocked by cultural walls, for example.
One, I don't think we should show that we can do everything, because I don't want to have to be expected to show that I can do everything. I think this is also important for us to say that there are limitations to things. So I don't want to be expected just because I'm a feminist, I have to carry my own luggage, for example. I don't want that. But you can show that you are capable at the things that you are expected to do. This is something. You don't have to force yourself to be able to be good in everything, because you can't. I told in one of my article, I talk about how oppressive it is to to insist that women workers, they have to be perfect mother and at the same time committed workers. How can they do that? I cannot. I have children. If they are sick, I don't care about the classroom. I would just tell my students, gang, you are not my children. My child is sick now. I don't really care about you. I need to take care of my child. But this has to be communicated. And at the same time, when my children are okay, like they can cook themselves, why would I have to take care of them? Like, I'm going to focus on my. So the thing is, don't get pushed into showing that you know everything. Be also very familiar and comfortable to talk about, I'm not sure what you want me to do, I don't know about that, you should tell me what to do, something like that. So don't worry about having to know everything. No.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Habibullah. Habib, would you like to ask Professor Aquarini directly?
Professor Priyatna, can you?
Hi. Yeah.
So actually thank you all for the time and kesempatan saya untuk bisa bertanya langsung ke Dr. Priyatna. So I have some question that actually close to us. Like I would like to asking about how will campus or college become more inclusive to women or female especially, and is there any specific things that campus or college can do to let women or female being comfort in the campus or college area to support their education? And actually, are there any things or steps that campus or college can do to stop the gender stereotype or gender bias in college environment, as you said before? And I would like to ask you, because as a man, what can what things can I do to support the equality itself? Thank you very much, Ms. Fiona. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So there is a movement called he for she. Some feminists are not very happy about that, but for me, we need all the help to get this done. So men are invited to do the same thing. So as I said, if you want to have more gender campus, then you have to look into your everyday practice to include to make sure that this is something. Discrimination happens when when people who are this when you are the same, you are treated differently, but when you are different, you are treated in the similar way. That is discrimination. For example, Habib, you are not pregnant, so you cannot ask for uh, pregnancy leave, for example, right? Um, uh, but at the same time, we need also to consider the different things. When we are the same, then if you work as kaprodi, for example, you would require the same, you would do the same work, you should require the same amount of money, for example. But for example, students, you need to, there are different students, like Afiana talk about, she's from Australia, she's not aware of the culture, then you cannot treat her the same as students who come from, what's that, Bojong Soang, for example, who knows the culture, right? So you cannot treat Afiana and people who come from Bojong Soang in the same way because they are not the same. So you need to explain more to Afiana about the cultural context. This is something, for example, if you happen to be, if one of the students are women and they are married and they have children and they come late, you cannot apply the same rules to her than to other students, because other students just need to do this and they just go. The mothers need to take care of the children, and then the husband comes, and then the mother-in-law. So when they come late, you just explain, I will have to give you discretion because I know this is something, this is little things that make women can pursue more. So look at the practices, the everyday practices. How can we help so that women can be more comfortable, can pursue more? So that happens in gender studies in UI, for example. In one of the classes, there was this small mattress, and a baby was sleeping on the table while I was teaching, and some mother was like sleepy all the time because she was 9 months pregnant. What do I expect from 9 months pregnant women? She's sleepy all the time. I don't have to say, why are you sleepy? You're sleeping in my class. This is very impolite of you. No, you can't, because she's pregnant. If she goes back and forth to the toilet, that's because she needs that. So things like that. Look at the curriculum. For example, when do we want to integrate issue in language? When do we want to include the issue of gender and language? in literature, for example, just remember that everything is cultural when it comes to human. So we need to include that. Do we have that? Do we have that into the curriculum, into your everyday practices? And man, you can also help a lot, because this is the in patriarchal culture. For example, I have told my students whose father doesn't like it when she wanted to go to pursue her study, and she said, is your father afraid of anybody? Yeah, his brother. Uwa saya, bu. Oke, kamu bisa ngomong sama uwa kamu? Iya bisa, Bu. Bilang sama uwa kamu punya sekolah. Let him talk to your father. You see? Because man to man talk is leverage. If you can't talk because you're just a little girl, talk to the uwa, because the uwa, or to the mother. You know, if you have the grandmother who supports you and your father doesn't support you, talk to the grandmother. Let his mother slap him like, hey, you can't do that to your daughter. This is leverage. So man has the more voice, more powerful voice, then you have to use it for that, purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very interesting discussion. And next question is from Hani Safira. Hello, I would like to ask Prof. Priyatna's view about conservative families in Indonesia. Some women, even with privileges, still experience difficulties to pursuing higher educations, mostly because their families don't see the necessity of higher education for women, whom they thought would eventually end up as a housewife, the one that you mentioned before. Where should we seek help if this happens?
Again, as I said, leverage. You know, when you cannot fight against your father, against your mother, talk to somebody who can. This is I have a story. I was once had a student from Makassar who come from a conservative family. He was in my gender class, and for some meetings he really like got concussion, like got really slapped in the face, and he skipped my class for a month, and then he returned, and I said, what happened to you? What did I slap your head? He said, yeah, I wasn't aware of the problems that you said. I lived in that. I didn't see the problem. I went home to apologize to my sister because she wanted to go to Bandung and study, but my father rejected her request. He said, I told her I'm sorry because I should have stand up for her. So yeah, you should find leverage, you should find friends, and if you can talk to your father and mother nicely, that will be nice. If not, ask for friends, ask for support. Especially, as I said, if your mother supports you, your grandmother supports you, let her do the talk, because Muslim people wouldn't argue against their mother. It's sin. So use your grandmothers.
Okay. Next question from Diana Sitaresmi. This one is about trafficking. Prof.
Yeah, so it's not within our discussion.
Yeah, it's not within in your discussion. But would you like to answer the question or not?
I don't think I have the data to actually elaborate that, and I'm not sure I should do that. So maybe if I have enough data to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just skip it. Okay.
Thank you anyway for the question.
Okay, and Afri Wita just would like to say, always love Professor Aquarini's talk, full of insights and energy, so inspiring. Yes, I think so too. So do we have another question? We still have 6 minutes. You can raise your hand if you want to ask directly to Professor Priyatna. Okay, because since we don't have, Habibullah said thank you very much for your answer, I guess. So if we don't have any question, I think we can wrap this discussion up. Maybe Professor Aquarini, you can choose who's the one who have with the best question, because we have other prize for one person.
So I don't think it's the best question because the
Oh.
all questions are nice. But if I had to choose, I would go with Habibullah because
Oh,
I need
yay.
men's voice here. So yeah, I need more men to actually speak for gender equality, because gender is not about women; it's about men and women. And again, gender equality makes men happy too.
That's right. Okay, congratulations for Habib. You have won the second door prize from international office. The committee will contact you for the details. Okay, it is very interesting sharing from the speaker. And now I think we already choose the best question. Congratulations once again. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we close, I would like to ask all the participants to open their camera because we're going to have a photo session. Yes. Who's going to help me capturing the moment?
Me.
Okay. Okay, everyone, give your best smile. Flo will help this photo session. Just cue us.
Yeah, we have 3 slides, so we will take 3 times. Okay.
Okay.
Right. The first, give your smile, please. Okay, wait, hang on. One more.
Can you count 1, 2, 3?
Yeah. Wait, okay. Next slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait,
Okay,
hang
one
on.
more.
One more, the last one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Aquarini. I can thank enough for your talk, for your presentation, and the knowledge that you share with us. It's very insightful and fruitful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Until we meet again, Prof.
Bye.
And everybody, thank you. Before we close this session, I would like to remind you to fill out the feedback to get an e-certificate. You may find the link on the chat box. And we still have more episode, the coming episode, maybe in April, after class 2000, after class talk 2021. So don't forget to follow our Instagram at IO Telkom Unit to find out more about the
Aku yang
info.
kirim.
And also don't forget to register. Now I would like to invite you. We already take the group photo. Okay, thank you very much. Don't forget to fill out. Yes, don't forget to fill out the questionnaire. And until we meet again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Prof.
Thank you.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Thank you.
Ciao. The feedback link it's in the chat box. Okay, you can fill the form now. It only will be open for 2 hours. And you may leave the Zoom meeting. Thank you very much for your participation. Until we meet again on the next After Class Talk episode. Thank you, Irfan. Thank you, Habib, Husni, and everybody. It's been a great afternoon. Thank you, Henry. Can you hear my voice because it's rained heavily in my home? Okay, great. everybody, the session is completed. It's over. Don't forget to fill out the questionnaire in the chat box. And then you can kindly leave the meeting room. Thank you very much. Thank you, Santi. We will remove the participant from the meeting room in 5 minutes. So make sure you have the link, you get the link to the feedback. Thank you, Desiratna Putri. Participants, we will move participants in 3 minutes. All participants, kindly leave the Zoom meeting. I think we can stop the recording.